question about this. This is a election board meeting. Is there a meeting notice? How do you notify the public of your meetings?
Usually it's in the paper.
Was this meeting in the paper?
This one
Should have been.
should have been in the
Because they were notified in time.
Yeah.
You know, we don't send them out 12 because of the fact that the dates may change. But the
So you don't meet regularly on the third?
We do.
Yeah,
Tuesday?
yeah. But what I'm saying is occasionally we've had to move them if more than 2 board members were going to be out of town or something.
I didn't see it in this week's paper, and I'm just wondering how consistent you are with the meeting. And on your bylaws, you're following Robert Rules of Order for your meetings. I guess I'm concerned because this is a board meeting and you went through almost the whole agenda, and I haven't heard not one motion, second, or anything like that as far as business, and you've made decisions, and I haven't heard any recorded votes that will be in your minutes to justify this being a meeting.
Okay.
And that action taking place as board members.
One of our Jan Baker is not here today.
So then you're saying you don't have a quorum to meet? There's two makes a
Two
quorum,
makes
right?
a quorum.
So then therefore you could vote. So if you're not voting and putting anything in motion and there's nothing here, then there's actually no record of this meeting ever existing. So nothing you say today can be used if you're not voting and there's a motion, there's a second, there's a record of these things being done.
I understand.
There's not, according to the
So what
sunshine
do you think
rules.
we should have made a motion on?
I don't know, I'm just saying, I'm listening to see so I can make notes here as to what officially this board has decided to do in this meeting, and I have not heard anything but discussion. I haven't heard any motions passed, anything voted on as to go into records as to this is what you're moving forward. And without that, the board hasn't made a decision.
Okay. Well, the only thing that I think that we need to make a decision about would be the commissioners having an emergency meeting.
Yeah. So.
Other than that, I think all that we have been doing, yes, is discussing because we're in the middle of an election.
Well, there wasn't.
Excuse me, just a point of order. I'll do Robert's Rules of Order for you then.
Okay.
What you said was incorrect. You had to approve the minutes, and that had to be approved. You were not allowed to go any further.
Okay, I do not approve the minutes.
I don't want to be. No, please don't let me make a confrontation at all. I'm just saying that's the point she brought up.
Yeah.
You had to approve the minutes at the very beginning of this meeting, and they were never approved, and there was never any discussion. So those things have to be rendered, and we as the public need to know that. So it shouldn't be. I don't want to be confrontational, but I'm chairman of several boards.
First, the agenda has to be
The
approved.
agenda has to be approved
Before you could even constitute this
And the
meeting.
most important thing is you gotta have an agenda when you call emergency meeting to the commission. These are the things that are needed now.
Well,
No, I'm saying to get this in order, there hasn't been an approval of the agenda first, and then there hasn't been approval of the minutes, and there's been nothing voted on. Just it's been a lot of discussion. So if you went out of this, the board didn't actually meet because there's no actual record of a board meeting.
I can say this: I did table to her to table the minutes to the next meeting.
But there wasn't a motion; it wasn't voted upon. There wasn't a second,
No.
so there's still discussion. But I'm saying, the first thing, there's been you operated on an agenda that hadn't been approved. So therefore, there's not a valid meeting. There's just been discussion, and there's not a valid meeting. And I'm curious to see what the other minutes look like, because if there hasn't been an approval of the agenda, it's just by law, these things have to be done in order to constitute you've done anything legally. Because if not, you've done nothing, and nothing that's been said here can be acted upon.
I second that.
Are we still in? Because I didn't. That was going to be my question. Is questions actually a time for citizens to be heard? Is that what questions is? Okay. I just want to state that as working in the polls for the past 20 years in Lowndes County, I do agree with Ken that this can be a very stressful and tedious job, and it changes every year. My wife was a poll manager for 20 years, and I was assistant poll manager for 20 years. I understand that. But something that Deb Cox taught us a lot of years ago was that, the Board of Elections is the beginning and the foundation of everything we do in America. And I used to think that was kind of cocky to say, but it's actually the truth.
That's true.
And it's what we do and what is done here and in every Board of Elections throughout the United States is the foundation on what we do in America, on who's going to represent us, be it city dog catcher or the president of the United States.
Right.
That's true.
So with that type of responsibility, we must be open to criticism. We must be open to complaints, and we must be open to accolades as well. I am from Lowndes County, but I will introduce myself as J.C. Cunningham. I live at 2521 Bona Vista Circle in Valdosta, Georgia. But I am a candidate for state representative for District 175, which encompasses Lowndes County, Brooks County, and Thomasville. And I've known Ken for some time, and I do think that I can talk to Ken on any level. And I think that he's been put in a position that he has not been truly trained for, and he's taken a lot on himself. But I do think that the board of elections, and I mean the board, not Ken, needs to realize that and to be successful. And because like I told Ken the other day, perception is reality, and the perception is from me as an outsider talking to folks every day, and I'm in Brooks County every day. I run 24 hours a day. I'm here every day. The perception is that things are not right in the board of elections in Brooks County, and that people have been disenfranchised in numerous ways. I've heard Ken say several times what he had to personally do.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, you need to be, you and the board need to be very, very, very careful about Ken having to micromanage this office. I think you guys have let him down, and I think that it is time for you to not make any more excuses. And if Ken has to work 12 hours a day, then the board, the staff, and the board of elections, the people who volunteer for this position, need to be prepared to work as many hours as well.
That's true.
The things that folks are upset about, you need to take more seriously, because it is the talk of Brooks County. I was here Saturday. I spoke at a church. We had pastors there. People are upset. They have no confidence, not in Ken as much as they don't have confidence in the system right now. And again, as long as there's a perception, it is a reality. Now, my last thing is something was brought to me this weekend, and I think you all have a copy of it. And this is why folks, and even myself, and I will tell you up front, I did bring this up to the Secretary of State's office. I am very concerned about anything that's ever penitent. We have a certification of political party candidates, and which was done on 25 May, day of qualifying, and one has a person not being on a qualifying sheet and was notarized, and then another sheet, that person all of a sudden mysteriously appears. Now, in all the years that I was involved in the Democratic Party, one as a chair, once those certifications are done, they are not to be changed. You cannot add, and so that decertifies this certification for Republican Party candidates. This is in itself a violation of state law and federal law. When that name was added, law was violated, and you can be prosecuted. And for someone to think that that is not serious lends to the reason why folks do not have confidence in this office. Now, these are things that must be addressed, and must be addressed immediately. And it is not to intimidate. It is not to belittle anyone. But you know, if you sent your children to school and they didn't give your students the proper books, you would in order to, you gave them a math book for a science class, you would be very upset and you'd want it corrected. We want everybody to be on the same playing field, on a proper playing field, and I can't speak for Miss Exum. I can't. I think that was her name. But if I was her, I'd be pretty upset that someone was allowed to be added to the ballot against me after it was already certified. I'd be very upset. And just think if we did that for if it was Mayor Pickles, he was on his ballot and he was running, and all of a sudden he saw a certification at 5 o'clock when certification was over, and then a week later he sees all of a sudden someone's running against him because for whatever reason, I don't care if the person really did certify or not, you cannot add them, and then there's no initials to these changes. You have changes where you just cross things out. I don't know who crossed it out. These are things that needs to be answered, and I submit that these things need to be answered immediately. And like I said, I have already sent my complaint to the Secretary of State's office in the state of Georgia. I sent that complaint on Friday, so I did want the board to be aware of that. Now, again, board, I go back to the board. The board in itself is responsible for anything Mr. Collins does. And Mr. Collins cannot be the only one at fault here. He cannot be at fault. I don't think he should be the solely person held at fault. And if the board is not up to supervising this board of elections, then I think the board needs to step down or recall themselves, because this is no way to run an election. This is the most important election that will ever have into our next election. And we have a T-Splosh. We have a lot of different things on this ballot that we need to take a little bit more seriously. And I thank you for giving me a couple minutes of your time. And I would hope to see some answers to some of my questions and concerns real soon. Thank you.
Well, all I can say is I know that this that had the name, Mr. Coy's name added to it, I don't know where you got your copy of the one that did not have the name on it, because I thought that had been retrieved. That mistake was caught very early, and I thought it was caught before the thing went to the courthouse. Now I don't know where you got your copy of the one that's lacking his name.
I got it from the election office when I was here for qualifying. I stayed until almost 2 o'clock.
Okay, well then
And
you
so
got
you
the wrong
gave it to me.
list. You got the wrong list. You got the wrong list because the other one was corrected before it went to the courthouse. And I think
Well, I was here. I was here when qualifying ended. When the sign went on the door said qualifying was ended, and the Republican Party finished theirs, and they came over and they gave us copies, and I got copies from your office as to the Republican and Democratic ticket, what it was.
And the other thing is, if that is true, Madam Chairman, it should have. Then why was it? Then it should have been scratched. Should have been scratched through. Should have been done the proper way. It should have been refilled out, re-notarized, and then we wouldn't be a question.
Yes.
No, there's no time that says when you did this. There's
It's
nothing.
already been notarized. And anytime you alter a form that's been submitted, that's fraudulent. It's fraudulent.
Well, I can state this here. When I posted the sign on the door that qualification is closed, they was finishing up the forms. Once they completed the forms, Mr. Collins gave it to me to make copies to give each party a copy of the other party's list. Mm-hmm. This is the list that we had that made copies of after the qualification was closed.
And that was what was missing the name.
Yes.
Okay.
And both parties had this, and after we left for the day, I assumed this was it. And then this one here was brought to my attention that the dollar amount was changed, crossed out and changed, and they added $216 to it, and Mr. Coy's name was added on that one there. Now, under my understanding, once it is notarized, which he put his seals on, should nobody go make any changes on it. And the changes has been put on it. And as I stated, I would not try to go to prison for anyone.
Mm.
Mr. Collins has stated he don't want to go to prison for anyone, but we know reading this here law here that has been a felony committed because a change was made on this document and no one was aware of the changes. Not even I assume Mr. Collins, because as a certified notary, he would have known the proper procedures to take on making those changes
Yeah, I did not.
to this point.
The front had been.
And like I said, that's just following the laws that's right here. And it says she'll be guilty of a felony for making any changes
That's so true.
on this here.
That is so true. All right, so what's the answer to this? What do you want? I mean, what do you think we should do?
By right, I make a motion that we turn this over to the proper authorities and let them take it into consideration of what need to be taking place according to the laws in Title 21, Chapter 2, Section 562, 21, 2, 5862.
I didn't touch after all that was done, so, I mean, I don't know who altered the front. Mr. Porter was qualified at the right time,
It was.
before 12 o'clock. Now, past that point, whenever Lee Larco came back to me and he said, we left somebody inadvertently off the list. And I said, okay, well, what's the problem? And he showed me. And that was whenever I recertified the back page, because he was technically left off the list, but he was qualified properly. But now the front page, whenever Mr. Zurich brought that in today, that's the first time I've seen that.
You recertified. How did you recertify it? There's two. You stamped it again and
Yeah, I re-notarized it because technically he was qualified before 12 o'clock. They just left him off the list.
No, this is the same certification as the first one and the second one. It hasn't been restamped. It's the exact same thing. Page 2 of 2 and 2 of 2 is your exact same notary on it, same signature, same stamp. There had been no change in it. The only change is when his name has been added at the bottom. So you were aware that this was permitted, this was given, and then this was added after.
Yeah, Lee Larco explained to me that they had just inadvertently left him off the list, and I called Deb Cox to ask her what to do. She said, well, that's not it's not a major. She said it doesn't fall underneath me.
So Deb Cox made a decision on that.
Well, no, I just bounced it off of her.
Okay.
And see, again, I think, just to the board, I don't really, I think where I'm coming from more so than anything is that they're just like was brought up by, I don't know your name, but I think she brought it up, Ms. Proctor, that, again, we have rules and we have regulations that we need to be going by. And it seemed like the rules didn't apply to Board of Elections. Again, I feel Mr. Collins is being the one targeted here, and he should not be the only one targeted here. Someone else in an authority felt they had the right to come to him and bring these things to him, put him in this position, and that tells me that the people of authority don't know the rules and policies enough to truly supervise this office, and that is disheartening as a taxpayer, as a voter, and as a person, as a candidate. First of all, I am a notary also, and you cannot renotarize anything that you pen and ink without making the corrective actions and annotating those. And there's no annotations. And again, I don't think, I do think, and it's not my position, but I've already stated, I've already contacted the Secretary of State's office. And now, Madam Chairman, I think
Well, I would be
excuse me, I think that your capacity as the chairman should be to contact the Sheriff's Department and to notify them that there has been some fraud committed and that it needs to be investigated immediately, because this election is not going to ever be certified. That you pen and ink without making the corrective actions and annotating those. And there's no annotations. And again, I don't think, I do think, and it's not my position, but I've already stated, I've already contacted the Secretary of State's office. And now, Madam Chairman, I think excuse me, I think that your capacity as the chairman should be to contact the Sheriff's Department and to notify them that there has been some fraud committed and that it needs to be investigated immediately, because this election is not going to ever be certified as long as you have this shadow over it. And again, I think if Ms. Exum really understood this, knew what was going on, she would be the first one to say that her civil rights have been violated when someone else was added to this certification process. So I would like to know if even the Republican Party did they have a certified person doing the qualifying? Because if they had because that's the Board of Elections' responsibility to certify anyone from a party so that they can do proper qualifications. And if the party, if that party person was not certified to even qualify, just like then that person, then we have other problems. Now those, that's other issues to look at. But the Republican Party obviously do not know the rules, because they would have known that person could not have been added to this list. That person must be qualified, must be certified to make qualifications, to qualify a candidate. So there's some issues and do I think these things can't be corrected? Sure, they can be corrected. I want them to be corrected. We had a meeting Friday talking about that we need them corrected. I met with Deb, and Deb has talked back and forth to Ken. It's not to get Ken terminated. It's not to get the board decertified. But you have to understand, if this was you, you would not like it. You wouldn't want to tolerate it. And for anyone to get upset, to be questioned about this, and the way your attitude was, well, you got the wrong one, you got the wrong one, you got the wrong one. That is why the citizens of Brooks County has no faith in this board.
Not a system.
And with that, I'm going to have to leave, because
Can you stay just a second? I'd like to make a comment. I'm one of the commissioners here.
Yes, sir.
These aren't my employees.
Okay.
And I would like to make a quick comment that I appreciate what you've done. As we mentioned earlier, or as was mentioned earlier, this is all new to us. We're trying our dead level best to make sure things are done correctly. I thank you for bringing this to our attention and bringing it early enough to get it cleared up, and to take the pressure off of Ken and take the pressure off of the board. Because I was here also that particular day when the certification, or not certification, when the time thing ran out. So when I left out, it was under my impression that everything would be from there on done correctly. And so, being new, somehow or another, we've got a glitch. And you're absolutely right. I think you make a good, valid point. I appreciate you taking your time to come over here and help us. Because that's what I think Madam Chairman said at the beginning of the meeting, we need help. And also we need, in addition to help, we just need, as was mentioned, patience and also cooperation. And that's what we want. We want this environment, as a commissioner, you can see, in this little community we're in, we're trying to stretch every dime that a taxpayer pays to the maximum. And we have taken out of good faith and added money in. We went to the school system and tried to get a facility that would have made this a lot easier. Would have made it all much more open. They wouldn't be little individual rooms scattered around, because we're taking and rehabbing a building that was available, Mr. Cunningham. And we want people to feel this wonderful privilege that our forefathers, everybody that's ever fought a war, to give us this freedom. And we want to have, I appreciate what I heard about having an upbeat attitude, a smile on our face. We're all God's people and together. And that's what I want. I want them, when they come in, to be able to vote. I like Zurich. I don't like Billy Bob. I'm going to vote for Zurich. I think he's the man I want. I want that ability. And we're trying. This whole thing, you heard, you know the situation. Whole new redistricting, whole new group of people. But we're trying. And we're trying to do it right. And we appreciate anything that you can help us with. We appreciate what Ms. Deb is doing over in Lowndes County. That's why the commission on the second go-round elected to hire Ken from Deb's recommendation to help us get through this process. I have no idea how certification goes. I'm not an expert on that, but I am an expert on listening and watching body language. I was in sales for 30 some odd years. I know when people are amiable, and I know when people are hostile, and that's just a God-given gift to me. And I've heard too much hostility, too much anguish on both sides. And I want it stopped, I want it corrected, and I want to go forward with a smooth election in this community. And we've got precious few days to do that. We've got this lady that's never heard of this thing, this whole thing that's coming up day after tomorrow on the 19th. You know, I don't know if it can be extended or not, but it sounds to me like
Won't be here for a while.
if you know, because we've got to set the stage to not only in this election, but like you said, the most important election coming up is this one. The next most important election is if there's a runoff. The next most important election is November. And they've got to be correct. And everybody has got to feel comfortable and non-intimidated. And as a commissioner, that's what I'm trying, that's my goal. And that's the goal. But I already heard the process started. They're going to need some more money. We've already spent a new $100,000, and we haven't even got the early voting done. So I do appreciate you coming over. I appreciate your effort. I wish we had some of your experience on this end, and we appreciate good cooperation from you. So thank you for coming over.
Well,
Thank
I
you
agree
to
with
the
Joe.
board.
It
And,
is new. It's
I just
all
wanted to let you know the commission is interested. And we're trying, and we want to have the right frame of mind and everything by the book.
I volunteered for this position because America means something to me. And because the voting process is extremely important to me. I didn't take this position with the idea of making mistakes or causing anybody any harm. Okay, this was a mistake, obviously, that I've only been doing this for a year, and I have to tell you what, I'm still like the deer in the headlights. You know, for all of the rules and all of the regulations that you need to know. I didn't catch that. I thought the thing had been corrected before it went to the courthouse. Okay, I didn't know that. Now, if you want to go ahead and file for a felony,
Some stuff
do it.
I appreciate it.
you know,
Thank
The chairman's job.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that because I know it was an honest mistake. I don't understand. I mean, I think we need to work together on this, and I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling that it's being picked apart rather than saying, what can I do to help you? You know?
So are you authorized me to go to the sheriff department?
If that's what you want to do.
You need to make a motion that I am authorized to go to the sheriff's office.
You are, you have your motion.
What I have to discuss here is that, like I said, I understand Mr. Collins when he said if somebody has a problem, to send them and have them call you. But you have to also understand that the fact that we are board members, if they feel the problem is with you, they can't come to us.
That's
And
so
then
true.
we can come to you and find out what's going on to correct the problem. One of the problems that was told to me that a customer came in and requested a sample ballot
Yes, sir.
and was told to show ID.
You want an explanation?
Let me finish.
Can I?
Let me finish
Well,
real quick, please.
okay.
Was asked to show proper ID, and they said what it was saying is there's disparate treatment in the office. And I would have looked into it and said, okay, well, maybe that was just something there. But to see it firsthand myself today, that a customer came in and I requested the same information and didn't have to pull an ID at all.
The first incident was Mrs. Brown, and it was the sole purpose behind just asking her if she had a driver's license with her, is because on that driver's license is everything I need. As far as date of birth, driver's license number, usually, and and address. And Ms. Denard brought up a very important point, and I'll give her credit for that, is that technically all I needed was her address, and she's exactly correct. And since that time, all I've asked for is an address, because I can go in a back trace from the address itself. As long as they're a registered voter, they're going to show up in my registration listing, and I can go through there and get the same information and not even have to break a tone asking for it. All I got to have is an address. And so that particular incident, I take sole responsibility for that, and it was not intentional to target anybody. It was just I had not thought about, and that's the absolute truth, I had not thought about the fact that all I needed was an address and go in on Screen 5 and get the same information. Now, if I need to contact Ms. Brown and give her an apology, I'll be glad to. But Mr. Nard brought up that one important piece of information about that all I needed was an address, and she is exactly correct. And I had failed to consider that whenever I asked Ms. Brown for her identification. It was totally innocent. And if she was offended by it, I'll call her and apologize. But we have to have certain information to be sure that we look up the right one, because there may be a Zurich de Cesar of the second or the third, or just like yesterday, we looked up all the way from the second all the way to the fourth of this one particular fellow. His name. He liked his name, so he named his son that, and his son liked the name so well he named his son that. The only thing then that distinguishes everybody then is birth dates. And it's totally innocent whenever I ask somebody, and Miss Brown, like I said, if she was offended, I'll be glad to call her up and apologize, because it was a totally innocent question on my part.
See, and I think a lot of this is they're just mistakes. They're things that we need to correct within the office. We're just humans trying to do the best job that we can do, and to make this office work. And now I personally am feeling like I'm being picked apart for every little thing. It's okay if you find a mistake and bring it to us. But I just, you know.
That is what I'm doing at this time, I'm bringing things to your attention. Well, the reason being is, we're not perfect, I understand that. We're no means perfect. But if we don't correct our problems,
Yeah, you're right,
we
you're
always
right.
gonna have a
You're
problem.
right.
We, in this position, working in the public, we must be prepared to accept criticism.
Sure.
And if we are right in what we're saying, we must be able to go pull the documents and show them, okay, we have the right to do it. If we was wrong in any way, we need to correct that problem and give some sort of apology as dealing with the public.
I'll be glad to call Ms. Sargent.
I don't think an apology is even appropriate. If the why hold two standards. If the public does something wrong, you're quick to say, and I read your last minutes, fraudulent signatures and fraudulent things. If you do the same thing, and this is very serious right here, two separate things being, this is serious. That goes back to the Constitution. And to pass off and just say, oh, it's just a mistake. And just, we're gonna overlook it as a mistake. According to the law, that's a felony offense right there, that even exists. And it can't be just set up, it was a mistake, oh, it got past me. And you just say the certified third page when it's the same signature. That's serious. And if you're gonna hold the voters accountable to these things and having them come in for all these different things, by the same standards, you've got to set the standard, you've got to set this bar, and that's unacceptable. And these aren't just one thing happened randomly, it's like a cycle. You've gone through the training, this board's over a year old, and this behavior is not acceptable. We're looking to you for direction to make sure that we have an election that we can find credible, and we find credible the results.
And we're
This kind of
working very
behavior,
hard.
this behavior, you're working hard to discredit other people when you're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing by law.
We're not discrediting anybody.
Well, I read the last minutes, it was about a signature, and you're ready to send it to the Secretary of the State Board of Elections.
What?
About
it didn't.
fraudulent behavior.
Nobody said anything about sending it anywhere.
Well,
No, I'll read it.
no, I've heard reports, I've heard the comments about that, but I'm just saying, this same thing is, and just saying that this can't go out, whether Zurich takes it or not, it's going. It's already gone to the Secretary of State, it's going everywhere else it has to go, because it has to go. That's the whole purpose. We can't, now that I'm knowledgeable of this, I play a party to whatever's happening, the crime, if I allow this to be not taken to the authorities and the proper people handling it. You play a party to it. This has to go.
By right, as a board, if we don't take action, it's gonna fall back on us.
Yes, those two, we could.
Well,
That's
I
what
do
it's gonna
agree that
fall
we have
back
to take
on.
action, but I don't think I have to file a felony charge against the man because he
We-
took 30 minutes to figure out that he left somebody's name off a list.
But it's just not him, it's Ken. Ken's the one that signed it and notarized it. So it's your office too that played a part of that. This is the information that went in on the ballot. When that information goes in, it says on that it's just duly, this is the truthful, and da-da-da-da. That is not true. This could throw the whole election because people might be on that ballot that by law aren't even certified to be on the ballot.
And see, that code is coming out this,
Okay. Okay.
that's why we as a board have to take action on it, because it falls back on the board. And we can't sit there idly by and just overlook it.
Why don't I just suspend myself then until y'all settle all that?
Well, no. This is ridiculous.
Because, you know, if I'm gonna be held responsible for something that I have a 98% surety of